to the Wrong Advice Podcast. I'm your host, John Picciuto, and I'm very excited to have the one and only Mr. James Green, aka SlimSnapped, on the pod with us today. James, how you doing, my friend?
I am doing great. It's been a good day. How are you doing today?
Can't complain. I booked a gig today. You know, it's Tuesday. It snowed. I'm a snow girly. I fucking love the snow. So, you know, it's all good stuff.
Your snow and your iced coffee. So, I mean, yeah.
You know me, man. I'm a December baby. People always give me grief for it, but iced coffee all year, and that's it. I live by it and I die by it.
No.
600 grams of sugar per week. I think Starbucks needs to start paying for my future diabetes medication. Can you give a quick introduction to the listeners to who you are?
So yeah, I'm James Green, aka SlimSnapped. I am currently based out of Phoenix, Arizona. Moved here from Indianapolis with my wife in May of 2020. Moved on our anniversary. Graduated dental school. She graduated dental school. We packed up the truck. Moved to Phoenix or Goodyear, sight unseen, and been here since and loving the desert.
Nice. So you grew up in Indianapolis and...
Yeah, a town about an hour south off of 70, so it's the halfway point between Terre Haute and Indianapolis called Cloverdale.
Mm-hmm.
It's a tiny little, it was like a one stoplight town at the time, and now it's maybe 3 stoplights, so
nice.
That gives you the size. Yeah, it's a tiny, so I grew up there, and then we lived in Indianapolis for 4 years while she was in dental school.
Nice. I like Indy. Cool city. One of my college friends lives there, and she's a real estate agent. Always posting these like amazing houses that if they were in Arizona or New Jersey, they'd be like 700 grand. Like,
yeah, it's like the low key spot. I mean, I love it. It's not Chicago. It's like not a big hub, but there's so much to do that's unexpected. So I mean, I think it'll be low key for a little longer than I think it'll have its moment.
Yeah, from a business perspective, was that a big shift for you? You know, as a photographer, clientele base, going from one state to another. I'm sure that was kind of a hard transition. How was that for you?
So actually, I really hadn't started my business before I moved. So basically, I'd shot. I had photography in my life on and off from elementary on, and then when we moved, I was working in her college town. We moved. I was playing men's rugby and got really bad. Yes, I got a really bad concussion and split my face open. So she was like, "No more rugby. We're done with that." And I was like, "Understandable." I just got a really bad. I got like 3 concussions in a season. Probably should stop.
Yeah.
So then she basically asked me what I wanted to do, and I was like, "I want to pick up photography again." So she bought me a camera with some money, and then she was like, "Here you go." So then ever since then, I've been back behind the camera. But I'm trying to think. Before we left, I think I refused like 4 weddings. I refused weddings nonstop, and then moved out here. It was COVID and I had nothing to do. And then so I ended up picking up weddings. So it was like it was a fresh start moving out here from Indianapolis, completely different, different clientele, different landscape in general.
Man, I first of all, we became friends on Twitter, which I always think that's fucking funny. And then you sent me some film to shoot, which was sick. Which I think is just cool, like internet friends just like exchanging gear and like fucking taking pictures. I don't know, it's just cool. And it's just funny to me because like in this podcast I get to like meet a lot of people that I am wildly impressed by, and I've had the benefit of having these conversations with a lot of different photographers, and I've always found your style of wedding photographer to be much more like artistic centric than your run-of-the-mill wedding photographer. I think there's a lot of care and thought that goes into your day. Was that like sort of an immediate thing for you when you started doing wedding photography, or was that something that developed over time?
I would say partially that was kind of why I never wanted to do it. I wanted to kind of have creative freedom. Mm-hmm. And the person that kind of gave me the reins her name is Kim Skinner. And I said refuse, and she had posted in a Facebook group saying, "Hey, looking for a second." I've reached out and I was just like, "Hey, I've never shot a wedding. I do portraits. Here's my portrait work." And she's like, "I love it. It's like, come with me next week." So I was like, "Okay." And then she said, "Shoot the groom how you would shoot any other portraits." And after that, she was just like, "Have fun, get creative." And she just let me go do my thing. And so ever since then, it's kind of been, I don't want to have your cookie cutter pictures. Like understand some people want them, but like I want something that's going to be fun and like you can look back on 20, 30 years and be like, we actually had a blast on our wedding day. We weren't off taking portraits for 2 hours and like
Yeah.
not hanging out with our friends and family and like enjoying the bar we paid for or eating the food we paid for.
Yeah, right.
Like, I want people to actually enjoy their wedding day and be present, not just like, oh, I'm running through these steps for Instagram or Pinterest likes. And
Oh,
so,
jeez. Yeah,
yeah.
that's so funny. Yeah, dude, I find that your work speaks to me on a lot of levels because I think you have tons of creative diversity. Whether it's a wedding shoot, whether it's portrait shoot, it's easy for me to pick up like a SlimSnapped photo and know like, oh shit, that was James. You know what I'm saying? Like
Thank you.
you've developed a style and a look and feel that no matter the subject matter, it feels like one of your photos. And for me, I've only been taking pictures for like 3 years now. Well, like 2.5, 3 years now. And I feel like that's my biggest struggle right now, like figuring out who I am as an artist. But to some degree, I think that's something that I'll struggle with forever. But in your own personal experience, what was that like, sort of developing your style, developing your flair, and sort of just developing your look and feel that has, in my opinion, become very synonymous with your work as a photographer?
Honestly, I feel like I haven't. I mean, like, truthfully, I feel
Oh
like I really,
shit.
yeah, like because I feel like I'm constantly switching things up. So I mean, I can't pick up. To me, like if I saw my feed, I mean, my work on the feed, I personally wouldn't be able to pick it up if I knew I didn't edit that picture. So for
Hmm.
me, it's still like I feel like I'm still trying to hone it in. Whereas like you say you notice it, I myself can't.
That's very interesting. That's fucking really interesting. Because, like,
Yeah.
dude, no matter where I'm scrolling, like Threads or Instagram or whatever, like, I'll stop and I'll know that it's your shit. And that's fucking funny. That's funny to me. I mean, that's pretty wild.
Yeah. Yeah, like I mean, truthfully, like, I really I can't like it's like for me, it's like it's still hard to nail down. So like I'm still trying to. I feel like I'm still trying to find like my style, like like how say Lebowitz or any of those people like even like Parks, like they have like they're very distinctive, and I feel like mine's not quite there yet. Like I feel like I'm starting to get there with like some of the poses I capture, like always like the hands and stuff, like
Hmm.
that's kind of synonymous with me. But then like when it comes to color grading, I feel like it's everywhere. Like there's no, there's
Oh,
no.
man. Dude, I change on such a frequent basis. It's like, I don't know. I have like one style that I'm really obsessed with and everybody hates it, but I fucking love it. So, like, am I wrong or is everybody else wrong?
What I'll say, what style is it?
So I like crushing the blacks. I like a really muted image, and I like that sort of desaturated, low contrast kind of vibe. And everyone hates. Like, I literally had a buddy of mine be like, "Dude, do you do this on purpose, or like, is this like, are you messing up something in Lightroom?" And I'm like, "Well, I mean, yeah, I have been doing it on purpose. Like, you may not think so, but it's intentional."
I mean, have you seen excuse me, have you seen Brian Schumann's work?
No, no, I'm
So
not
if you look
familiar.
at his work, like what you just like said reminds me a lot of his work.
Okay.
He does like he shoots on large format and does kind of documentary style portraits and environmental portraits. Like Brian Burke's is like that's who like one of his big influences. Like that line, it's very very low contrast, like overall low contrast, but then like the blacks are crushed, but there's still like a lot of depth in the colors overall.
Hmm.
So I think like I mean he has stuff all over the world. So I mean I wouldn't take
Maybe
it to
I'm
heart
not
too much.
wrong.
I was like I wouldn't take it to heart too much.
So you're saying there's a chance, James?
I mean I just
No, I'm with you though on slowing down my process because I think that's one of the things I've gotten a lot better with over time. Because like when I first started, dude, I would come out of like a test shoot with a model and I would have like 1,500 photos, and I'd be like, dude, what the fuck are you doing? Like, what are you doing? I have 6 photos in a row that are the same photo. Why am I doing this to myself? My computer was even telling me, bro, this is the same photo. Do you want to import all of these? And I was like, yeah, I want to import all of these. They're not the same. You know what I mean? Talk to me about how that process works for you in terms of slowing down, being more conscious, and like sort of being more present in the shoots in the moment.
So a lot of it was like you said, I didn't want to sort. I hate sorting through. And
Same.
so I mean even now it's like say I shoot a wedding that's 6 hours, 6 hour wedding. Some people are delivering 70 to 100 photos per like hour,
Whew.
and I'm maybe like at 30, like maybe. And a lot of them are to me are keepers. Like there won't be a lot that are missed. It's just I feel like it's repetitive moments, and I don't want to. I feel like there's no need to shoot that much
I
because
agree.
like Yeah, I mean, like if you capture a scene, there's no need to go back and reshoot the scene unless you're changing lenses or like getting a different vantage or a different viewpoint. So it's like one of those things I've like had to catch myself of. I don't know what artist says, but like, I'm only going to take one picture of this scene, and like once that picture is taken, then it's done. I'm not going to reshoot it. So like it's basically a one and done. I'm not quite there yet, but like it might be 3 frames, and then I'm on to the next. And it's just trying to catch myself because like if like the more time you spend in that one moment or that frame, you're missing everything else around you. So like I'm
Oh,
shooting you right now, there could be something happen over here to the left or the right, but I'm so focused right here, I'm missing everything else around me.
yeah.
So I try to be aware, but like so I'm not missing, say possibly like dad taking a picture or like if I'm with the model and we have like the window open over here, like if it's natural light and that slight shift of the sun might make the biggest difference, but I'm gonna focus here, I'm not gonna even notice that's coming through. So trying to be like aware of the surroundings and not so focused just on that instant moment that I can catch the changes.
Yeah, I like that. I think that's a big struggle for me right now, and it's one of the things that I work with on a lot. On like when I'm in studio, like don't shoot 500, 600 photos. Like move on. I don't need 20 of the same pose. I need 5. It's like
Yeah.
if you're in the same position, if you're in the same sort of area, the light's hitting the same way. If you're not shooting, what I mean, like move on. And it's just like partially it's still the excitement of this all sort of being new. Like I've only been doing it a few years and just like pinch me, I'm here, I'm doing it. It's fucking great. And then partially it's like, wow, I just want to make sure I get it. I don't know, fuck this up. So it's like, it's like imposter syndrome / just happy to be here / ignorance that it's just like all facilitating through. But it's something that I work on a lot. I think I would assume a lot of people have that problem for sure.
But I mean, when there's money in the line and like say somebody's brand is all like you're depicting that brand and creating the images for their brand, then like
Don't
you
want
want
to
to make
fuck it
sure
up.
yeah, you want to make sure you know those shots. So like if I'm doing like some fashion work for a brand, like I'm going to try to make sure like I might overshoot them because I want to give them as many possibility like as many options as possible
Yeah. You know
because we're
what's
going to
funny,
sort.
man? I have a very much documentary style to my photography. I kind of started doing street photography before I became working in it. As like a 9 to 5 kind of thing. And that aspect of my photography, I think, is what draws people to hiring me from brand work, from fashion work, for whatever I'm doing, music, etc. Because of the way that I sort of like come at it from a street photographer's perspective. But most of my favorite photos that I shoot end up being on film, end up being either on 35 millimeter or medium format, because number one, the process is super fucking slow. Number two, I think there's a lot more intention into what I'm doing in that moment because it's fucking $76 per shot. and and number three, I think I prefer it, honestly. Like if money was no object, I would shoot strictly film all the time. When you're working, you have a workflow that I think is probably pretty unique to other wedding photographers, for sure. High level of film shot, rangefinder digital, which is probably uncommon in the less becoming more common in the field. So when you're like going to put like your shot list together and your equipment list together for whether it's a wedding or a brand shoot, whatever, what are you thinking about when you're packing your bag?
Ooh, I'm trying to think. I have my go-to lenses. So like I right now my bag is basically my SL2 is out at service.
Oh
So
damn.
that's out. I think it'll be back the second week of February. But really I have my M11, which is like the main body, and usually I have my 40 on there. So like that's my go-to lens.
Ooh,
The
Voigtlander
four,
40.
yeah, 41-2. So like that's my go-to every time. And then I have the Nikon ZF.
Oh,
It's just
cool.
that's like my backup, and I have like the tech art adapter that I can autofocus with the M lenses, and so I'll do have a range, but really I have usually a 21 Voigtlander for some funky stuff, my 40 which is like my go-to, and then either a 75 or 90, and that's basically like I have that across like any body.
Hmm.
So even with the ZF, I have a 20 and a 40. And so like that, I have my go-to set, for the
What
most
is it
part.
about 40 that's such a unique focal length to be used on 2 different systems. You know what I mean? It's like, you know, like, okay, like having a 40 on an M base, fine. Like it's a cool lens. I've seen it before. Like it's not an, you know, it's like the Helios 44. It's like people love that lens. I get that. But to have a 40 on 2 different, that's interesting. Tell me about that.
So for me, I think like 50 is just slightly too tight, even though I love 50. Like I feel like I had the 50 Summicron like V4, and I was like just a smidge too tight. So I'm like, all right, I need something just a hair wider. And like when I had my first Nikon F100, I had a 40, and then when I got my first rangefinder, it was a Bessa like R3 or whatever. I got a 40, and every time I'd get 35 or 50, and I would just like I didn't jive with it. I've tried and tried. I've got multiple 35s, multiple 50s, and every time I go back to 40. So it's like same thing with 35 for me. Like 35 is just comparatively too tight compared to 28.
Yeah.
And so like if like you said, you shoot street and stuff. For me, like if I'm doing like more documentary stuff, whatever, it's like it just feels too tight comparatively to 28. So it's like if I need to, I can crop it a little bit or just take a step forward.
You know, it's funny. So my first setup when I like lost my job and like I spent money on a camera, I bought an M6 and a 35 millimeter Summicron, and I shot thousands of photos through that camera. And then, you know, it was like the middle of the pandemic. I decided I was gonna be a photographer. Had to buy a digital camera, so I sold it so I could buy a digital camera because I was like, I need to work, right?
Yeah.
So I got rid of it, and then last year when I was like, I'm ready to reinvest in a Leica film camera, I bought the MP, but I went with the 50 Summilux, and I think 50 for me, even in street, even in documentary type situations, the tightness I think adds more gravity, more sort of like heightened experience to the frame. That 35 just felt a little bit wider, and like I think I was losing too much in the scope of the frame because I was either not close enough or too far, or it just wasn't, I wasn't shooting it the way you should. And I found that 50 is like my fucking jam, and I'm rocking this because when I put that 50 on my SL2S, I make magic. Just period. It's just true. It's just like, it's my dream setup. It's like everything that I want. It's so fucking good for portraits. It's like everything that I want. But like when I'm going through what I want kit wise, I need to start, like we've been talking about the M11 for a while, and I know you've been having a rough couple weeks with it, but like I want one. And I don't know, like I'm sort of in this weird place right now because I think I'm close enough towards the SL3. I'm close enough to maybe the new Hasselblad, and I just don't know what I want. And I like, you know, I don't have 50,000 subscribers at these brands that just start tossing me shit to try. You know what I mean? So it's not like, you know, it's tough. But I do find it super interesting that you found 40 to be like a very focal length across multiple systems. I think that's kind of cool. I like that.
Yeah, I mean, and even like with I'm trying to think. I would say honestly, rent the M11, like like going from the M10R to the M11. I still like the M10R sensor better. Like,
ooh,
yeah, it's
really,
yeah. And for me, it's I don't know. It rendered similar to the SL2 for me, and so I think that was the thing. Like, I love my Q2 and the SL2. Like when I had the Q2, same sensor, and the M10R to me was very similar. And something with the M11, like I've tried it in Lightroom and Capture One, and something's just like feels slightly off. So I don't know if it's like the camera profile or something, but if you get the perfect light with it, it's gorgeous. It's gorgeous.
Yeah. Sure,
or
perfect.
Or if you're shooting strobes, then like, you know, great. But I mean, the SL3, I'm looking forward to that possibly.
Yeah.
And then
to be honest with you, like I know they're going to end up putting a flippy screen on it, which I don't want, and I know it'll have the 63 megapixel sensor, which I'm here for, and it's like an easy. I have the SL2S. I don't think I'll ever get rid of it because I love the video aspect of that camera. It really is the best hybrid camera I think I've ever used. I don't know. It's, you know, I'm fucking first world problems, right? But it's like I just don't know what I want to do. I just really don't, and that's okay. Like I think you can make decisions from a gear perspective that make sense today that may not make sense 6 months from now, and like these things change. And like when you buy good things and good quality and good brands, you retain enough value where you can get in and out of stuff and not get absolutely whacked on it. At least you gotta hope.
Yeah, I mean, I got out of my X1D2. I came out maybe losing like $50 after buying
Wow.
batteries. So I mean, I had for a while I had the X1D2, the 63, the 45, and like 4 or 5 batteries, and just for a wedding day, I just
That's so
had a couple
beefy.
freeze. Yeah, well, it wasn't even beefy. Honestly, it probably weighed the same as the M11.
Oh,
Like it, the M11's kind of the
beefy.
M's are
Yeah.
they're beefy. So the X1D2, like it was great for portraits and stuff. It was just I had a couple freezes, just like I'm
Oh,
having with the M11, and I
not
don't know if it
great.
was the Arizona heat. Like at the time, it was midsummer. It was like 100 degrees outside,
Yeah, that'll do it.
and it just froze up. And then one time it was sensors overheating, so I had that. But then not being able to edit and capture one is what killed it for the X system for me, because I do love the X system a lot.
Yeah, I don't blame you. I mean, I shot the R5 for probably 2020, 2021. Yeah, yeah. So, when did I buy the Leica? Last year, 22. When did the SL2S come out? Yeah. So I had the R5 for 2 years, and then I went to the Leica, and I don't regret it. But yeah, no, I mean, Canon makes great glass, great cameras. I had no problems with the R5. Just that I shot the 28 to 70 f2, and the thing weighed 50,000 pounds, and I
I'll
was
say
like,
what prompted the switch? I was going to ask you because I remember we talked about like you getting rid of the R5, possibly going to the SL series. So
so for me, uh, I've always, I know this is such like a cop out. I find the navigation system in the menu system of the Leica to be such a breeze that I'm never in studio and I'm like, fuck, I can't find this fucking thing that I need. Like that was one thing that I always felt like I was like having problems finding, right? So stupid. And not like a real pain point, right? Just something that was like in the back of my mind. The reason why I switched because I bought the MP, which was always my dream camera. I don't, unless film prices go to like $1 billion a roll, I'll probably never get rid of that camera.
yeah,
And to me, when you invest, 10 plus thousand dollars into a setup, that lens needs to be able to be used elsewhere. And to me, it seemed to make more sense to adapt it to like a digital body versus a Canon digital body.
yeah,
And like it was doing the sale, $1,500 back for the SL2, SL2S kit. And I was like, that's a pretty good deal. It's basically what I would have was in for my Canon system for. So I was able to get out of the Canon system and into the Leica system. I think it cost me like $400 difference between the
okay,
two. And literally the price was mostly just the extra batteries that I had to buy.
yes,
Those fucking SL2 batteries are just absurd. Um,
yes,
which is just like egregious. And don't get me started. I'll talk for a fucking hour about these goddamn batteries. But to me, like I like the simplicity. I like the Leica colors. I like everything about the SL2S from a form factor perspective. It feels premium in a way that the R5 didn't. Like I feel like I've got a $5,000 camera in my hand versus the Canon always felt like a little bit of a toy. It's much more plasticky. And when I bought the MP, it just seemed like it coincided perfectly with that sale that they were doing. And I was like, oh yeah, duh. And I did it. And I'm extreme. I've put thousands of photos through my SL2S. I'm doing a lot more video with it, which I'm really enjoying. Shout out Ben Rizzo. We're shooting a little mini doc tomorrow, which I'm super excited about. So yeah, I mean, I think it's the perfect hybrid camera, and I'm not getting paid. This is not endorsed by Leica. And I just love it. And I think that the bump down sensor to 24 makes it a low light beast. I shoot so much music stuff, and I've shot that thing at I've definitely shot it at 25,000 ISO and been able to pull out a lot of the grain in post, and the photos are usable and they don't look bad.
okay,
So that to me was the decision, and I don't regret it at all. And you know, the internet fucking threads will talk shit about every Leica camera ever made. And I just don't think people get the opportunity to play with them. If you had a couple days a week with the camera, you'd be like, this is an enjoyable experience. It makes me want to create, makes me want to pick up and go do it. And I never had that experience with Canon. And shout out to Leica. They have a photographer in mind when they create their gear, and it makes me want to go create. I never had that feeling when I shot Canon, and
I,
that's a nice feeling.
I truly think people underestimate the whole menu system debacle, because like it's frustrating. Like I
Yeah.
mean, like the best menu system I ever used was the Hasselblad, and then right behind is the Leica, and like
Yeah.
they're very similar setup. They're like they're very minimalist, you know,
Mm-hmm.
4 or 5 buttons. So I picked up the S5 II as a backup for the L mount, and I couldn't do it. It was too many
Mm.
buttons. I'm like, there's like so many buttons on this thing,
I know.
and I'm like,
It's
I get like
intimidating. It's like, what
overwhelmed.
the
I get
fuck is this? Yeah.
overwhelmed.
It's a very popular camera too. Like very
Yeah, it's
popular.
like it was cool. Like it was great for low light, but I was like, if I need something low light, I'll pick up the SL2S.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm not shooting live music really anymore, so I mean I don't have the low light needs as much. But the SL2S has definitely been on the radar just for that. I mean, like even for wedding days, like I don't always need 50 megapixels. I
Yeah.
really don't.
That's my dilemma right now, honestly, because like in terms of next system, because I think 2 digital bodies is sort of the sweet spot, and I think most of my shooting, whether it's brand related or concert related, is SL2S and the MP. And I don't know how much I think film, it's so personal for me and it's what I want to shoot all the time, but I'm not actually getting paid to shoot film, right? Like
Yeah.
that's a hobbyist mentality for why I take it out. So like to me, whether I pick up an M11 or another SL body or potentially a Hasselblad digital camera, like I need 2 digital bodies, and that's sort of where my struggle is right now and what they are. I don't have to make a
Yeah.
decision. Like there's no timeline. Like it's few and far between where I need to rock 2 bodies because most of the stuff is most of my work's in studio or environmental, etc. So I can get away with shooting my film when I want and shooting my digital when I want, and I don't have to worry about I got to switch because I don't have the right lens or or the
Yeah.
process of it all. And then like, dude, the other thing that I've thought a lot about is like picking up a Q. Like I like the Q a lot, and the Q3 is a fucking beast. So you can get away with so much with that camera that like almost takes away from the need for a digital M body. Like I don't know, it's an interesting conundrum because like I can do whatever the fuck I want. I can get whatever I want.
Yeah.
But like I don't want to just spend money just
just
because like
you just spend it. Yeah.
I have zero dependence. Like there's no kids running around here. Like I don't have to worry about a college fund. You know what I mean? Like I can go buy whatever the fuck I want, but that doesn't mean I need to go buy whatever the fuck I want. It's like just not. It's like that's a consumerism mentality that I just don't have it anymore. I'm old. You know what I mean? I don't give a shit like that anymore. So it's just like for me, it's like figuring out the process and what fits into that workflow. I just I'm torn right now.
Yeah.
Especially when you tell me that like the M11's fucking bricking on you.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, like I tell people all the time, I miss my Q2. Like, only reason I mostly got the M11 was for the internal storage.
Yeah, it's a great thing.
And the Q3 didn't do it. That's why I was like, that's why I got the M11 over it, because I was like, if I'm shooting with somebody else, like shooting for somebody, I can go home with the pictures, I don't have to worry about bringing my laptop. And like the Q2, a lot of the wedding days, I would use it a ton. Like that thing in studio, honestly, like is one of my favorite cameras in studio.
Oh, interesting.
It's not great in studio because like the leaf shutter.
Yeah.
It's just like running like the Hasselblad system. So I mean, you can basically black out a full lit studio and be good to go. And so like
that's
it's
cool.
getting funky with it, and like you have like the little Q Pixie flash or whatever, or a small like even like a 100-watt pro photo, and you can get as funky as you want with it, and not have the constrictions.
Cool. I never even thought about that, honestly. It doesn't come up much in my workflow, but that would be fun. I don't know. Now, now my fucking... See, James, do you see what happens to me? I have, like, gear acquisition ADHD, and it's a good thing that I have a ton of resolve, and, like, I'm not fucking... Oh, hey, credit card, boom! It's like, if I was like that, I would have... What's the meme? I am massively in debt, or whatever, like, which is good. I'm growing with age. I'm very proud of myself. But, dude, honestly, like, if it was, like, economically feasible, I would shoot everything on film. I think when I was going through old journals that I found recently, and I found something when I started right before I went on a cross country trip when I lost my job and took 1 million photos and fell in love with photography, and that's why I do it now. But I found a shoebox full of my grandfather's old Kodachrome slides, like hundreds of them, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds. And I never met my grandfather. He died before I was born. And that sort of connection to him and then also to photography started before I bought a camera. And my affinity for film has now, carried over because of that. Do you have a similar feeling? Like if it was economic, if it was, I mean, it is reliable. Oh God, I'm not going to say this. I've never had a problem with film. You know what I'm saying? It's like, what are your feelings? Because I think you have the great sort of dual flow of digital versus film, but like I don't know if you're like me and it's just like I would like to shoot film all the time.
I mean, I like to when I do. It's not always economically
Yeah,
friendly.
yeah.
Like right now, I actually was sorting out if I can, you can see it. So that's all. I was sorting everything
Holy
out.
shit!
So that's where I'm at right now with development. So I think it's 31 rolls of 120, and then
Jesus.
trying to think, probably 15 rolls of 35.
Oh
So that's
man,
everything that's loaded. So that it's not always economic friendly, and then I have a bunch of 4x5 in the. Sorry, my dogs are going off.
it's
I
okay.
have a bunch of 4x5 in the bathroom
Oh
to
cool.
develop as well. So it's not always economically friendly, but I love the process enough to where like I'll find a way to do it. Um, so I mean, even if I'm doing like I'm working on a personal project covering different artists throughout the valley and stuff, and that's basically just me just eating the cost. You know, they're not paying me anything, they're not chipping any
Yeah,
costs. It's basically just me just passion project. So every time, you know, it's probably 4 or 5 rolls of film, 4 or 5 sheets of 4x5 plus whatever 35. So no, it's a couple $100 each person,
yeah.
and it's just it adds
Sunk
up.
cost.
Yes, yeah, sunk cost, but then I'm like also like thinking at it too, like to get the quality I'm getting from like my 4x5 or like my Hasselblad, like 500, I have to buy like a phase one, and that's like 30K. Is
Yeah,
the way I look at
fuck phase
it.
one.
so,
That
so
shit's
it's like
whack.
so it's like 30K. So it's like all right, I can
That's
keep
a
doing
lot of film.
this.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I have a fridge full of film, so it's like all right, I haven't quite spent $30,000 on film yet, so I'm good for now.
Yeah.
And then
So I have, I think 4 or 5 rolls of 35 millimeter left, and then probably like 15 or 16 boxes of 120. So what I want to do is shoot it all, whatever's left this year, and not replace it until it's all gone, and then make my decisions on what I'm going to do with my life. So at least like I have a couple months to think about it. Like, because dude, to be honest with you, like I would love everyone to hire me and pay me because I shoot film, and like that's a pipe dream because you know I'm not that good, but it's like that's the dream. But like I've gotten so deep into Polaroid lately, and it's like the thing that inspires me to go create again. And dude, I email Polaroid once a week asking them about 8x10 Polaroids, and they're probably like, dude, stop hitting up our generic fucking ask a question line. We will let you know when they're restocked. But that's my next jump of what I want to do. I want to buy an 8x10 camera. It's like fucking $5,000 or whatever. That's without a lens. Then you got to buy a lens. And I want to shoot 8x10 Polaroids because I think that will be fucking awesome
that
and expensive. So it's like, to me, if I could like listen, you know, that presupposes that I don't go viral and get 500,000 Instagram followers in the next 7 minutes. But ideally, my entire workflow would be film. I feel a connection to it in a way that I don't with digital, and it is the intent behind it. And the most morbid, honest to God truth of it is, James is like, dude, when I die, my fucking cloud gets wiped. Everything I ever did is gone, but like my negatives will exist. And like, you know, I'm not gonna have kids, but like maybe my nieces or my nephews or their kids or whatever, like maybe that shit sticks around for some time and it's a thing. It's like a
yeah,
physical thing that I was here and I did it. And I think about that a lot. I know it's super morbid, but I do. I do.
it's real though. Like I mean, like I talk about with people like with like, it's about photography in general. You know, it's I was at a conference and or like a workshop, and I was telling people either you know why photography, like asking about my mindset and stuff. I'm like, well, I was like, you think about like when you get older, your body starts to go and stuff, and like kind of all you have left are memories, and then when
Mm-hmm.
memories start to go, all you have left are pictures to kind of like spark those memories. So like it's morbid to think about, but it's real,
I
and
know. Dude, I
and so
know.
it's one of the things that we're like said all my negatives are just in a corner. It's like I pray our house doesn't like catch fire or anything because like all that's
Yeah.
gone. But
Yeah.
it's even with the couples like I'll send them their negatives and like put these away, like keep them safe because like if you ever want to get darkroom prints done, hand them off to your kids, anything else, like you lose the flash drive, at least you still have all these negatives from your wedding day or a family event. I was like, if you have a disposable camera, get your negatives back.
Dude, some guy on TikTok or Instagram or something went viral. He hands out disposables to people at like events and stuff. Fucking coolest thing ever. I don't know. Have you seen those videos?
Yes.
I'm obsessed with that. I think that's really cool. And it just goes back to the tactile, like physical. There's something there with film that you don't get with digital. And it's no wonder why so many people fucking edit their digital photos to look like film, because it's better. It is better. Come at me in the comments, bro.
That's what I've been doing recently is I bought the Leica Sofort 2. So basically the Leica Instax or whatever, Instax Mini, and basically every shoot now it's like I will send pictures off the M11 over to it, and then the model with a couple of whoever leaves with a couple Instax just take them instantly.
That's how the quality's so good, man. Oh, I didn't know you could do that.
Yeah, so you can set it directly from the camera phone, like the Leica Photos app. So that's the biggest. That's why I went with I had the Instax in my cart for honestly like 2 years.
Yeah.
And
I broke my Instax. Don't buy it. It sucks. Well, good move not buying
it. But yeah, so like it's been sitting there, and then finally like they came out with that. I'm like, this is genius. Like just the whole how they did their whole ecosystem. They kind of took the Apple approach. Which isn't a bad thing, but
it's not a bad thing, honestly, and that's why like people fucking shit on Leica and shit on rangefinders and shit on everything that they have, but like they're very intent and very conscious about everything working together, and that's super important. I don't have to like worry about not knowing something and figuring it out because I've got the experience on one of their other products. Man, I fucking love that shit. That's cool. Damn, man. Listen, so yes. I bought a very expensive old Polaroid camera that Brooklyn Film Camera Lab, whatever the company's name is, updates with the internal 600 speed for the Polaroid 600 film. Mm-hmm. I think it was like $400 or $500. I don't care. It was worth every fucking dollar. It's amazing, and I'm obsessed with it. And it's got no electronics, right? It has no electronics, and it's fantastic. Like I'll never buy another I don't know. That i2 seems kind of cool.
I was gonna say, have you played with the i2?
No. It looks sick though. I haven't played with it.
So a friend of mine, the name is Rachel, like Arcade Artistry. Mm-hmm. So it's on my page. They shot myself and another model. So there's two guys in the studio where we did like a streetwear look and then an all black look, and they shot all film, and then I think a decent amount of Polaroids, but we did some double exposures with Polaroids.
Ooh.
And then we found out, I was like playing with my flash stuff. They have a 2.5 millimeter jack, so you can actually sync flash to it as well. So you can shoot flash in studio, we found out. So yeah, it is. Yeah, you can do. I think you can do like 4+ like exposures on one sheet. So you can get really funky with it. So
that's cool.
It's definitely worth looking into if you
since you left Polaroid. $600 though.
But they're already selling used for like $400.
Oh wow, that was quick. Okay.
I saw one. I think it was on Reddit. I saw a guy selling it for like I think $450 with shipping and PayPal fees. I'm like,
that's pretty good. That's pretty good. I mean,
and it came with film, and you can use. I think you can use 600.
And the
what's
I-type.
The other one? And I-type.
Yeah, interesting. Ooh, dude. Oh man, shit. That's cool.
Yeah.
I've got 3 Polaroid cameras. Don't ask me why. I got one as a gift. I bought one, and then I bought the expensive one, the SX70. It's new. It's weird calling it an SX70 because it's brand new.
Yeah.
But randomly, like I was shooting I had a bunch of boxes of I-type that I can't shoot on the SX70, and I was in studio, and it was setting off the flashes, which was super weird. Just not connected to anything, just shooting it, and it ruined all of the fucking photos because it was like, I was like, why is this happening? Like, I'm not doing this. It's just doing it by itself. And I was like, I have no control. I can't control the exposure. It's just a button. It's auto exposure. It's just like, it was all whitewashed. It was terrible. I was like, man, what the fuck, Polaroid? Like, I didn't ask for this. Like, come on, man. Just give me my fucking 8x10 and let me live. Talk to me about shooting 4x5, because my buddy Dean was trying to tell me that I should shoot that before I get into 8x10. My whole caveat with all of this is like, I don't want to develop any of my own film. I won't, and I don't want to. So is that a huge problem with shooting 4x5 and 8x10?
I think 8x10 more so than 4x5. I haven't shot 8x10 yet.
Okay.
I thought about picking one up, but then
So expensive.
it's so expensive. And I mean, some people shoot paper as negative, so I mean that's the other option. It's a little cheaper, but for me, I have the Stirman press tank, so it's 4 sheets, and then I bought a tank. It's an adapter, basically goes in a Patterson tank, and it does 6 sheets. I think if you look up B's cameras or like Burgett's cameras, he's actually out of the East Coast. He's a watch. He makes custom watches, but he also does stuff 3D printing for cameras. And
oh wow,
that's made it a lot easier. Initially, I was scanning on the V550, and I would stitch 2 images together.
Oh shit!
Before we're scanning with my SL2, but there's been a couple times I've sent stuff out, so I'll send it out to Northeast Photographic in Maine, and they've scanned stuff or developed a scan for me. But yeah, really, I really do it all myself. I mean,
what do you ship? What would you ship it in the negative to?
So like I would basically, I guess like here we go. So this is like 2 scans, my 2 scan box. So like, it comes in the box, and then in the box there's like it comes in an envelope, and then it's like dual. It has has like another box, and then it has like an envelope in it. So basically, I'd put it back in the I'd put it back in the envelope.
In the dark bag, you stick it back. I gotcha.
Yeah, you put it in the envelope, the dark bag, and then I just ship. Basically, when I ship it, I just write like to develop on there. Here we go, to develop, and then what it has, and then like if I have anything to push or anything else, I'll have it on there, and I just tape the box up and send it to them, and then they'll.
Sweet. That's not that hard. I bet I could do the same thing with 8x10.
I mean, you can, yeah. Like I think Northeast Photographic does 8x10, and they do drum scans as well. They do drum scans. If you like for black and white, they do 510 pyro, which is awesome. If you don't want to develop it yourself, so I mean, they do a lot. I
don't want to do any development. I live in a 450 square foot studio. I don't have space to do. People are like, "Oh, you're not a real film photographer." You know, fuck you. Okay, I live in 12 feet. Where would you like me to keep all these chemicals, all this shit? I live in 400 square feet. I don't have the space. Don't tell me anything. I shoot thousands of fucking rolls of film. I shoot film. I don't need to develop myself. It's my biggest hot take. Shut the fuck up. Let me live. Sorry, I digress.
You're not far from Maine either, though. So I mean, for you, it might get there. It'll get there today.
Yeah, oh yeah, for sure. That's not bad.
So that's an option too, and the prices aren't bad. The scans are great. So I mean,
yeah,
it's something to look into. Yeah, especially if you don't want to. Yeah.
My next thing is like I'm either gonna go full into digital and like buy the X2D 100C or the 907 CF 100C, whatever. Or go heavier into film and buy an 8x10. I think I'm going to just bypass 4x5 because they don't make 4x5 Polaroids. And I think... They do. Oh, they do? It's not on their website.
No, not anymore. But I mean, you still can buy them.
Right.
Yes, I have some. I just haven't shot any yet. Because I have like a bunch of FP100C.
Oh, God.
Yes,
I've shot one box in my life. It was the best experience of my entire life. It was fucking amazing.
I think I shot 3 packs. 1 pack was like half busted, but I got in right around COVID. People were clearing out stock, hard for money, and so I just scooped up a bunch of packs.
Honestly, I'm truly shocked that someone doesn't see the vast financial potential in remanufacturing this. I know it's like a chemical thing, and some of the stuff doesn't exist anymore. The manufacturing process doesn't exist anymore. I get that. We live in 2024, excuse me. You can 3D print anything in your house. I think smart people could fucking make a machine to make this stuff. Like, it's possible.
I'm trying to think where it was. I think it was last week or week before. They, somebody made a Polaroid kit, and it's like almost you're making it yourself. So they have the chemicals and stuff, and you coat it. You only can do one sheet at a time. So it's not like a pack. It's like individual sheets. I
saw someone do it with like 20x40 or 40x6, like massive Polaroids. Brooklyn Film Camera did it. I don't know if you saw that. I've seen. I've not seen smaller.
It's like the size of the FP100C. If I'll find it, I'll send it to you. But like they recently did it, and they put out kits for it. It's more expensive than buying an FP100C.
Oh, not doing that.
It's
And more
yeah,
work.
yeah, it's like and more work, so you have to do it yourself. So I'm like, so I could mess up the coding and I have to do it, put it in this
Yeah.
the dark. Yeah, I was like, this seems
No. That
yeah,
sounds too complicated. I'm
yeah.
not a DIY guy. I want this to be somewhat idiot proof, and I don't want to fuck it up. Because, dude, if you spend, I mean, listen, the boxes are still around 100, $125 for a box of FP100C. If you're spending more than that, and there's a high probability that I'm gonna fuck it up, I'm not doing that. That's stupid. Why would I do
Yeah.
that?
And
That's
I
a
think it's like
terrible economic decision.
it's like 80. I think it's like $85 for a 5 pack. I'm like,
Oh,
that's insane.
that's a
Like,
lot.
yeah,
And you have to do it all yourself.
yeah, yeah, and yeah, there's the aspect of possibly screwing up something.
That likelihood would be high for me, for sure. That seems very, very likely. But I think what's cool is like, dude, I've only been doing this for a few years, but like my desire to try new things is always increasing, like on a daily, weekly basis. I want to try new positions, new poses, new models, new ideas, new places, new gear, everything. And I think that's what's cool about a creative life that I never experienced before this. What still inspires you to like create on like a life basis?
Honestly, yeah, really experimentation, and then like the conversation that comes with it. So I mean, now it's if I'm doing TFP or something or testing, the pictures are cool. And like it's not like if it's not a paid client, then it's basically an experiment. I look at it
Yeah.
like that. It's an experiment. So I mean, I'm gonna try out something different most likely, and probably take that experience I get from that into a client base or into a client shoot. But really, if all it comes from it is like a good conversation and like learning something from the person or the shoot, then like I'm good.
I love
Because
that.
then because I mean, like I said, when it comes to client work, there's a whole different aspect. But if it's not paid work or not even, or if it's should say if it's not branding work for somebody that has a very specific vision, then
Hmm.
it's fair game.
Yeah. No, I'm with you. Um, what are your like feelings on failure? I feel like I failed miserably coming into this creative life. I spent the first 12 to 24ish months drowning like terribly. And I've just now 3.5 years almost to the day feel like I've got my head above water and I'm fucking cranking. And I feel good about it. But I failed a lot to kind of get to this point of time. What is your own personal relationship like with failure?
A lot. A lot. I would say I think it was last year, probably for a good portion of the year, I felt like every wedding that I shot second or lead on, the work was trash.
Oh,
Whether it was or not, like the other people might not thought it was, but I personally felt like it was. So like I feel like I failed that couple or felt myself because I didn't create images up to the level I wanted to. And so it took a lot of reframing, and I took a step back for a minute of no shoots or like very minimal shoots or anything really photography wise. I just honestly sometimes I'd go out drive and wouldn't take any pictures.
love that.
But yeah, like, that was like a big part of trying to reframe that it's okay. Like, it's okay to fail, and then like what I think is it might be pretty or might to my expectations isn't what other people see. Like
Yeah.
earlier you were saying that you can like spot my picture in a feed, whereas like I can't.
That's
And so
super
like it's
interesting to me. That blew my
so
mind, honestly.
so like it's that things of where like like my thought and vision isn't what other people see, and like I've come to realize that more and more. My wife like is trying to help me with that too. Of like she's like, you're great at this, you're really good at this. Like you just need to accept it and like try to see it from a different perspective because like what you see isn't what everybody else is seeing currently.
Totally.
So that's a
That
big
is that is imposter syndrome. I'm acutely aware of it. I it's funny because like dude, this goes back to like shout out to my old therapist because like he definitely helped me a lot. I have like this reverse body dysmorphia thing where I think I look really good and I don't. So I think similarly from a life perspective, I think I'm a lot better confidence wise than like maybe I am. But my relationship with imposter syndrome has always been the same as everybody else. Like I just feel like a total fraud at times. And I think it's like very unique to this industry and very unique to our kind of set of people that are creatives. Um, you could have 500,000 Instagram followers and feel like you don't belong, and you feel like your work is shit, and everything that you do is trash. And you could be working with the biggest brands, biggest models, biggest agencies in the world, and still feel like you don't belong. And you could be like me, 12 people looking at everything that I do, but fucking feeling like I'm crushing the world, right? So I think that is extremely common, which like doesn't necessarily help me feel any better when I feel imposter syndrome. And I don't think anyone out there listening to this who also goes through imposter syndrome is going to feel better. Like, oh, cool, you feel that way too. Fuck me, I still feel like this. But all those feelings pass. I think like you just have to be like very cognizant of outlining your own successes and like sort of mitigating the underlying feeling that you're not good enough. And if you could do that, you could be successful in any career, not just a creative one.
Yeah, because I mean, like I said, photography is not like my full time thing. So like for me, it's after 2:30, whatever day, then it's photography for the most part. So it's for me, it's a very, I would say on off. I can leave the paid side whenever I want it, or if I want, I'm not depending on it for a paycheck. So which is nice in that aspect, because I know that I'm not forced to put myself in those situations or like force myself to take shoots or. Yeah, so that's something that's
been there, man. Been there.
Yeah.
Birthday parties? Fuck me. Why am I doing this? Like, why am I doing this? Been there. Yeah, been there. I'm thankful that stage of my journey has gone, and it took a fucking long time. But like now I'm selective. Now I work with who I want to work with, and I shoot who I want to shoot with, and I get paid when I want to get paid, and collaborate with people who I don't charge. Like these things are my decisions because I've reached the comfortability and the level that I needed to. But oh boy, there was a time that was not the case. Oh, it's your dog's birthday. You want to have a fucking photo shoot of your dog eating? I'm free.
Cool.
So
can I do some film while I'm at it?
Yeah, right. Do you care if I shoot this on Polaroid specifically? Yeah, no, but I'm with you, man. That's cool. Dude, I am immensely appreciative of you spending this hour with me and coming on the pod, and we could talk for fucking days about gear, about fucking photos. I'm a big fan of your work. I think you're incredibly talented. I'm super appreciative of your friendship and you coming on, man. And I can't wait to see what you got going on for the rest of the year.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it. Yeah, we'll have to continue on Instagram, Twitter until I get out to New York, and then we'll have to hit the streets running.
Oh, fuck yeah, man. Can't wait for it. Have a great rest of your day, buddy.
All right, you too.
Later.